Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. Today we have Sohini with us. Sohini, also known as Smoke and Lime, for all of those from the Gen Z verse or from the interwebs who has joined us. And Sohini, I remember, had reached out to me on Instagram a few years ago, just with like a very sweet message that she wanted to collaborate on something. And since then, we've done a bunch of things, actually. I ended up going to one of her pop-ups in Calcutta. She's a chef living in London, but from Calcutta, very much a Calcutta girl. And I ended up going to one of her pop-ups, and then we hosted food distribution.
Ektara.
At Ektara, where we cooked for a whole bunch of kids. I think 700 kids we cooked for. We cooked for Bola Thik Noy. Sohini and her mom cooked.
Meghdut did some stirring.
I stirred a couple of times. I stirred some emotions, I think, and some excitement among the young students. And since then, we've been collaborating on spreading Bengali culture and food together in some ways or the other. We did something in London where
we did.
What did we do?
What did we do? We don't know.
We don't know. We spoke to...
We did something.
we spoke to a bunch of NRBs, non-resident Bengalis.
Yeah, NRBs
about culture and about food and their beloved Bengali cuisine.
Whether they listened?
We do not know.
We do not know.
But we try.
Yes.
One must keep trying. One must not give up. And again, now we are hosting pop-ups in Calcutta. Just hosted one at Offbeat, and I hear very good things about it. Sorry, I couldn't make it for it.
Yes.
So, with that very long introduction, my God, Sohini.
Pura CV update.
আমি তো এরকমই, and I'm a hype man for all my friends and people that I like their work. ওই জন্য করি তো.
Pura CV update. Very nice.
Sohini, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What do? You basically invite people home or to a restaurant where you're doing a pop-up, and you feed them food. Which is done a curated menu for a curated audience, small batch.
Yes, exactly. So, Ami Supper Clubs bole ekta concept ache, which has been existing, I think, close to a decade now, a bit more than a decade. It started in Paris, London, New York, as far as the internet is aware. But I think this concept of like lokke barite eshe khawano is obviously very South Asian, as abroad. Lokke theke taka newa, slightly less so.
Ethiopian.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. Like it's that concept exists, but the supper club concept came about that people come to your house and eat your food, which quite often restaurant emulate kora jay na. Because a restaurant is একটা team আছে, at a management. There's a lot of kind of bits that are at work in a restaurant, which in a supper club setting, it's just me. I'm cooking, I'm serving, আমি story tell করছি, everything is me. So I started doing that 6 years ago. Tar age, I worked a little bit with Asma Khan. I didn't know.
The chef, for those who do not know. She's
Asma Khan is an incredible chef.
Very, very famous chef.
And
in London.
Yes, in London. But she's also...
Of Indian descent. Of Asian descent.
Of Bengali descent. Murshidabad. But yeah, so আমি তখন কিছু জানতাম না. I was doing my masters at LSE and I had no idea about food or anything. Even that I was interested in that. When I saw what she was doing, I was like, this is cool. Like she's showing off her personality, her culture in a very curated, interesting way that I've never seen before.
So she was your first inspiration?
100%. And I worked with her while I was doing my masters. So আমার যেগুলো day off থাকতো, আমি রেস্টুরেন্টে চলে যেতাম.
কি নিয়ে মাস্টার্স করছিলে?
International health policy. Nothing to do with what I'm doing now.
Nothing to do with...
But it helps. I think there's a broad overview of socioeconomics and nutrition and waste and a lot of things filter in. Our ma baba are like hella confused. আমি কি করি? এখন আমার বাবা আগের দিনই he was like, "ও LSE তে পড়াশোনা করে economics ছেড়ে দিল." And I'm like,
sounds like such a Baba statement. Like Bengali Baba, academic Baba statement.
রান্না করে. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm running my own business. Like, you know, but anyway.
আমি উদ্যোগপতি বলবি এটা.
What?
উদ্যোগপতি is entrepreneur. ঠিক আছে.
উদ্যোগপতি.
My God, এই জন্যই তুই এত হেট কমেন্টস পাস বুঝলি তো ইন্টারনেটে. ঠিক আছে, শিখে নে.
উদ্যোগপতি. বাহ. What a nice word.
তুই উদ্যোগ পত্নীও বলতে পারিস নি.
উদ্যোগপত্নী. But yeah, so আমি Supper Club 6 বছর আগে শুরু করলাম. At the time, I was actually working for a Michelin restaurant as well. Operations in nothing to do with khabar. I have had no formal training. And actually, I don't want to have any formal training anymore. Back 6 years ago, that was what I was aspiring for. And আমার তখন যে বস ছিল, he was really supportive. He had 2 restaurants in London, and I joined as his operations manager.
ওই সময় আমার একটা বন্ধুরও রেস্টুরেন্ট ছিল লন্ডনে,
কি নাম?
শ্রিম, ক্যালকাটা স্ট্রিট।
Yes, Calcutta Street, which I also, it was one of the first places I went to have Bengali food in London.
Right.
But it's shut down.
Yeah, it shut down a while back.
A while ago,
Yeah.
And this, I mean, I'll get to this. I think London, Bengali restaurant, oi ব্যাপারটা, there's not been one that has like stuck. I think Chorungi now has stuck, but that's because it's very established.
It comes from the
Yes,
specialty group.
exactly.
আমাদের প্রথম সিজনে অঞ্জনদা ছিল এখানে, so we
Yeah,
had like
so
a
I met
really-
him actually যখন আমি initially start করছিলাম. But that comes from a group, so it's very different than coming
Yeah.
একটা individual এর থেকে. And when I started, I think I did make very traditional Bengali খাবার. It was always আমার ছোট্ট একটা ফ্ল্যাটে, because London all flats are ছোট. There was a long table and people would come on the table and 8টা সিট কি 10টা সিট হতো, and লোকে টিকিট কেটে you come. You can either come as a group or you can come eka eka or in a couple or whatever, and then you eat the food that's been prepared ওই দিন. So when I started, the food was very Pulao Kosha Mangsho vibe. এখন, I think in the last 6 years, I really have developed myself a food identity, which you have had my food. It's not fully Bengali and it's not fusion either. Really, it's like our personality on a plate. And what I'm...
chaotic.
That you mixed up the food. That is a you problem.
True, আমি সব ঘ্যাট করে খাই, আমি একটু ওরকম টাইপের।
And he's like, পেটে গিয়ে তো সব একই হয়ে যাবে।
ঠিকই তো কথা। But interesting food. আমি তো I had liked your first pop-up that I had gone for as well. Onnojote. That was, and also big ups to the guys at Onnojo. They're doing very good work.
They're amazing. I really love them.
So very, very inclusive space. খুব ভালো কাজ করছে।
Yes. So I think I like experimenting with khabar, but in a very Bengali way. It's probably how I would put it. The ethos of the khabar is super Bengali.
Very ঠাকুমা।
Very ঠাকুমা.
very
I want it to
Bengali
be very
ঠাকুমা,
ঠাকুমা. Like, যে মানে আজকে কি আছে, আজকে কি হচ্ছে. So obviously there is a menu and there is a bit of a structure, but I don't want people to come and be like, exactly আমি জানি কি খাচ্ছি আজকে.
আগের দিন নাকি অফবিটের পপআপটার আধ ঘন্টা আগে নাকি নতুন ড্রিঙ্ক ফ্রিঙ্ক বানিয়ে দিয়ে
I made a new drink, 2টো এক্সট্রা ডিশও ছিল, সবাই খুব ভালো খেয়েছে, লোকে বাড়িও নিয়ে গেছে জিনিসপত্র, they were like নিয়ে যাচ্ছি আমরা. So I like doing that. I think that is what differentiates it from a restaurant, because restaurant-এ তুমি অর্ডার দিচ্ছ এটাই পাবে, and obviously ওখানে there's a business formula. Supper Club, that's a bit more flexible. Obviously there's a price per head, but it gives me the flexibility to experiment and create. Very similar to like, I don't know, amar to khub similarity lage with Indian classical dance music, because it's that you have the structure of a rag, but then you can improvise, and I think that's the beauty of what we do.
But okay, let's get a little bit onto Calcutta. And here's because the podcast is also about your lived experience in Calcutta, and of course, for compared to most of my other guests, you are a bit less Calcuttan than them.
Definitely,
because
yeah.
you live
I
abroad.
haven't lived here.
You haven't lived here in a long time, but you still, whenever you do come, you do bring about a certain flavor, and you also have that intention of doing something. I think otherwise you would have never written to me, reached out. You hustle your way through, and you know a lot of people now because of that. You have friends now because of the fact that you do supper clubs, right? Even if you had thought about the fact that আমি লোকজনকে খাওয়াবো তার মাধ্যমে আমার বন্ধু হবে, that could also be a very good.
That's a big reason why I started supper clubs. I think what inspired me about what Asma was doing back in when she's still doing it, is creating a community. So আমি প্রথম থেকে যখন when I started the supper club, day one, I didn't want to do it in someone else's space. I think for me, the food is here, মানে অনেক উঁচুতে, and then everything else is also very close, like the ambience, the setup, the community, the adda. And I think through the supper club, there's a preservation of this Bengali culture, which I grew up with a bit, but I miss abroad, especially in a very busy city like London. I think people are very like go, 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 go. Nobody has time. And I think just slowing down 3-4 ghanta, eating some food and just having that atmosphere is really nice. And when I come to Kolkata, I try and cultivate that. And then I'll take it with me and I'm like, okay, this is what I want for the next year, to preserve. And I think for me, that's really important. Bondhu banano through Supper Club, I really like it. I've got some of my bestest friends right now.
In Calcutta. Through...
You mean?
I'm not the one seeking out people on Instagram. Hey, do
That's
you want to
me.
be
That's
friends?
me. No, no. But through supper clubs, actually, just like people who've come to my house, khete, and then now, honestly, I'm going to someone's wedding in like this summer because we've become such good friends, and I'll go and house sit Karur Bari in some location because
That's
we've made
cool.
friends through like food, and I think that's really cool.
আমাদের বাঙালিদের জন্য তো এমনি খাবার দাবারটা খুবই প্রয়োজন আমরা the direct line with our hearts
Yeah,
একদম
exactly. I think Bangali heart is the pit.
একদম।
there is no alternative.
What is your bigger goal with Calcutta? Because I know what you're doing now is also very important. I think uh, contemporizing food from Calcutta, from your home, and taking it to a lot of palates outside. You know, the outbound mechanism is very important. I mean, I do it a lot. I'm brand ambassador Kolkata, right? So going wherever
Yes.
Kolkata Kaku becomes, you know,
We
very
know.
active. Yeah? So সেটা তো সব জায়গায় হচ্ছে বাইরে গেলে, কিন্তু সেটার সাথে how do you tie it back into driving economy back here? Is there a plan for it at all? Would you want to at some point, you know, take the help of other established players, could be me, and building a long-standing legacy? Like, what would Sohini's legacy be?
I really want Kolkata to become like a food mecca. Honestly, it is. It is a food
It
mecca,
already
but
is.
I want it to become that for people outside of Kolkata. In Kolkata, it is. Even within India, to some level, I think it is. Most of the other side of the world, I don't like. Everyone's like very Mumbai, Delhi. And I think any of my friends who have never been to India and have been to Kolkata will hands down say it has the best food.
But that is not even there's not even a debate on that.
No, for me there isn't. But I'm saying I think the legacy that I want is I want people to come to Kolkata to spend time here, to understand the lifestyle, to understand the food and the really rich history that we have here that ties in with the food. So actually a lot of the khabar that I cook ties in with pre-colonial, post-colonial struggles and non-struggles, and a lot of the other history and legacy that we have, which I don't think enough people know about. I don't think people talk about it. Ami UK te porashona korechi. We were not taught anything about this. Of course, they told us
History
that
is
the
rich.
Kohinoor was a gift.
Yeah.
I read it
History.
boite and I was like, Baba, it's a gift. And Baba was like, "Ekta ke thappor marbo tor teacher ke." And I was like, So
History is written by the oppressed, right? At
yeah,
the end
so
of the
I
day.
think for me, actually, that's probably the bigger goal, to create some sort of channel where people, especially like, I don't know, Michelin khete loke koto jagah jay. That's the whole point of the Michelin, right? And I'm not saying it has to be, everything has to be Michelin starred, but it becomes a bit of a pilgrimage for people if they're foodies. Because it really is a city, ekhono obdi, I would say I'm fairly well traveled. You get some incredible food here, and it's not just Bengali food.
True.
You go to other parts of India, you'll get very good okhankar khabar. Will you get a really niche, I don't know, Mangalorean or Kerala stew or something? You might not actually. Or will you get like a Bengali aloo posto in like some other city? You probably won't. But in Kolkata, I think you can find that. Because the immigration history has been such, there's a lot of pockets of people who are doing really, really cool things.
And they have also traditionally, right? Like
Yes.
even say a Bengali Chinese, whatever. has
100%.
happened, or
It's a
Indian.
hub for creativity and people coming and setting up their own community. So I want people to come and explore that, whether that be through a space or, I don't know, different projects. Actually, I'm working on something really exciting for next year, which is a solo female travel group, which is I'm taking care of the West Bengal side of it, and people are going to spend 10 days in West Bengal. And I'm doing the whole itinerary for that. So things like that, I think slow and steady, but something that builds towards bringing some attention to Kolkata.
We need to tie it in with immersive trails.
Amiotar website, I was like, wait, this is cool, because we can then do a thing with that, within that tour. But I think a bit of education, history alongside with that. Like, I think whenever you're trying to educate someone or increase their learning, doing it through khabar is the best way possible.
True.
And even actually when I initially reached out to Onojo, আমি ওদের সঙ্গে অনেক ইনস্টাগ্রামে চ্যাট করতাম like about their ingredients, and I used to get them in the UK. The main thing was, this stuck with me. I think Shujoyda said this to me, that they're trying to increase education of Bengali farmers through a luxury product, which is like an immersive dining experience. And I love that. That's exactly what I was trying to do. And I think that's like a really nice way to bring people to a place and then teach them about eta hoyeche, eta hoyeche, eta hoyeche. And this is the product of that. I do a lot of that with loke posto khawano. You're eating posto, it's amazing, but let's learn a little bit about the history of posto and why Bengalis love posto. So I think
Why do Bengalis love posto?
because it was a byproduct of the opium trade.
Yes.
And এখানে leftover ছিল and বাঙালিরা genius. They're like এটা খাবো. And আমাদের এখন 1000টা রেসিপি আছে with posto.
তারপরে ভাত ঘুমটা ভালো হয় বেশি পোস্ত
So
খেয়ে।
good.
It is so good. ওই জন্য তো বাংলাদেশে I think it's banned and most in a lot of
Yeah.
countries, Islamic countries, I guess it would be considered haram.
But it's great.
But it's great.
But it's so good. So yeah, I think little bits of that. I think the legacy that I would like to leave is that at some point. I would like to have a space somewhere যেখানে people come not just for khabar, predominantly for khabar, but also to explore arts, music. And if they want to use that space, নিজেদের কিছু explore করার জন্য, it's there. So maybe that'll happen in the future. কোথায় হবে আমি জানি না, somewhere কোথাও একটা হবে. And I would like it to be in Kolkata purely because I just think this city is incredible for people to walk around. আমি এখানে half the time কি করি, শাড়ি পরে ঘুরে বেড়াই আর বিল্ডিং গুলোকে দেখি.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And I've been to a lot of different cities and every time আমি এরকম একটা, you know the old city যেটা আমরা সবাই travel করলে like old city তে যাবো দেখবো. Kolkata is that.
All of the cities.
All of the city is that, but
except
I
for
think
maybe
it's
New
not
Town
being
and
upkept
South
to
Lake.
that level. Jeta is that preservation of the beauty and the architecture and all of this history that we have within our buildings and the khabar. And I would like to contribute to that. Long answer.
Very long answer.
I actually do want to go back to the Kolkata thing of the food preservation ekhane, because I really think, again, one of the big reasons I keep coming back to Kolkata is because I want young people ekhane to appreciate the
এটা
food.
কিন্তু তুই করছিস and I
Yeah.
do agree on that. ও যা ফাজলামো মারুক যাহা এটা ওটা করুক, কিন্তু young people are in some way inspired to cook themselves or come here and at least
I
build
want
some kind of relatability to the food of their parents. But sometimes you're just not accepted into your mom's kitchen.
No.
But into Sohini's weird
You
world,
are.
you are
You're
accepted. So
yeah.
in whatever way
I
you
actually
come.
really want to do that. And I think recently, this is, the benefits of social media. So many, like, amader theke slightly younger, like 5-6 years younger, people are coming and being like, I'm inspired to make stuff, Bengali stuff, because you're doing it. And it's cool. And I'm like, that's cool that you think I'm cool. I'm not, but great, thank you. You don't know me.
Validation.
Yeah, absolutely validation. But it's nice that they're at least ওই perception টা কিছুটা আসছে. Because I think for a long time, even when I grew up in the UK, obviously, Indian food is not really seen as cool. And I think that's really sad.
But it is UK te to the national dish.
No, but it's not school. I got bullied and every single one.
এখন cool হয়ে গেছে.
এখন cool
এখন
হয়েছে.
South Asian culture has come back in the UK in a whole
I
different
agree.
way.
আমি যখন first England স্কুলে গেছি, the only bullying I had was like that you smell of curry. And that's with all of my friends. Like,
এটা অনেক দিন আগেকার কথা বোধহয়।
আমি কত বুড়ো?
মানে বয়স
I'm
তো
not
হয়েছে।
that old.
ওর বয়স তো হয়েছে। এটা তাও
God.
15 বছর আগে তো বেশি নয়।
Definitely.
15 years.
Definitely. But I think it was a perception at least. I think Gen Z, I'm not a Gen Z, obviously, but the Gen Z thing might be different. I don't know.
Behave like one, but
Someone actually thought I was Gen Z the other day, and
not
they asked me
surprised.
some questions, and I was like, I'm 30 plus. Like, I don't know who you.
plus.
I don't know who you think
also,
I am.
you must be Bengali because nobody says plus. এই যে আমি আমার 30 plus বয়স হয়ে
I'm
গেছে।
at 31.
Wow, good. Thanks.
But,
you waited the whole episode to say your age for some reason to showcase that
Let's
you're
cut
not
that
a
out.
young
Please, এটা
person.
cut করো।
এইটা তো কাটাই যাবে না। এইটা বাজেট এক্সট্রা বাজেট দিয়ে যেন এই পার্টটাকে হাইলাইট করা হয়
God.
যে সোহিনীর 31 বছর বয়স, we're going to plaster it.
Very good. That can be the
across
tagline.
Sohini
But no, I
সত্যি
think it's really
31
nice that people are maybe thinking their own বাড়ির খাবার is cool. I want that because I think there even আমাদের cousins এর মধ্যে or আমার বন্ধুদের মধ্যে who I've grown up with here, there was at least I think 10 years ago that perception that Bengali খাবার is not really cool and it's not like ঠিক আছে বাইরে যাব এটা খাবো ওটা খাবো পিৎজা খাবো বার্গার খাবো and I think
পিজাটা কি?
pizza pizza khabo, burger khabo. And even I remember I had one of my birthdays here when I was like 14 and we went to KFC because it was like cool to go to like an American jaga and like feed people. But I really think like ektu khani amader age it's coming back where it's like wait, this is actually really interesting nuanced cuisine And it should be appreciated and it should be preserved.
100%.
Because not only is it tasty, it's also
It's
telling-
culturally relevant storytelling, through
exactly.
food.
And I think a really big part of how you preserve a city is through its food. And if everything just changes wested dike, it's not really going to happen. And actually, going back to my dream of one day, I really, there's like really cool bougie Parisian patisseries. I want a shondesh dokan like that because I think it's so cool. এখানে আমি সন্দেশ
কোথায় করতে চাস? এখানে করতে চাস?
নেই, এখানে তো আছে।
তাহলে লন্ডনে করতে চাস?
হ্যাঁ।
সন্দেশের দোকান?
Yeah.
We can bring
But like really like Japanese like French যে দোকানগুলো হয় where it's like একটা সন্দেশ is like showcased.
একটা সন্দেশ 72
Like
euro।
spotlight দিয়ে।
হ্যাঁ? Spotlight দিয়ে
Yeah.
একটা সন্দেশ। I like it.
But I think it should be because আমাদের ওই skills গুলো আছে. I think for years and years and years because of how we've been treated and the colonial rule, we've been oppressed to be like it's not great, it's fine, ঠিক আছে চলছে. But I think we should uplift that. It's such a skill that we have এখানে.
I think Sohini also has a definite alternative career becoming an influencer with all her chaotic energy and becoming an influencer for সন্দেশের দোকান, মিষ্টির দোকানের জন্য তুই ভালো ইনফ্লুয়েন্সার হতে পারিস।
আমি চাই হতে।
তো চল আমি করিয়ে দিচ্ছি, এটা কি আছে?
চল আমরা একটা বুঝি পেটিসেরি বানাই উইথ মিষ্টি।
মিষ্টি উদ্যোগে যারা আছে প্রত্যেকটা ভালো বাঙালি ব্র্যান্ড মিষ্টির থেকে একটা করে মিষ্টি নেওয়া হবে।
Yes.
একটা করে।
একটা
বলরামের একটা,
per-
নকুরের একটা, হ্যাঁ,
করে spotlight।
কেসি দাসের একটা। মিষ্টি নিয়ে কথা বলে লোকে খুব শোনে কিন্তু, হ্যাঁ।
But you know
তিনবার
actually
মিষ্টি বল।
no what why
জাস্ট বল না এমনি এটা
Like মিষ্টি, মিষ্টি, মিষ্টি?
এক্স্যাক্টলি এনগেজমেন্ট বাড়ে।
মিষ্টি, মিষ্টি, মিষ্টি?
কলকাতা শহরে এখন
মিষ্টি।
সব জিনিসের রেসপন্সে শুধু মিষ্টি বলবি বিকজ ক্যালকাটা পিপল লাভ মিষ্টি।
they do
হ্যাঁ, সো
Yeah.
আমাদের
But-
সুদীপ এসেছিল বলরামের এখানে, মিষ্টির এপিসোড হেভি হিট, কি করে তৈরি হয় মিষ্টি ইত্যাদি।
love-
সো সুদীপকে ফোন করছি এটা পরে বলবো ওকে।
Ball. Also, London sorry, this is a London specific problem. Nobody knows what Bengali mishti is. It's a big problem. Amar Supper Club, I think
কেউই জানে না, তোর লন্ডনে কেন জানে না, কোথাওই জানে না।
everyone thinks it's mithai. It's not mithai. Can I clarify? Like and actually যখন আমি বাঙালি মিষ্টি বানাই, obviously I'm not
ভালো বোধহয় বানাস না খুব।
না, আমি ভালোই বানাই।
তাহলে খাওয়াস না কেন?
I don't know. You're health conscious.
On this note, আজকে এই এপিসোডটা বন্ধ করতে
আমি এখন গেলাম বাড়ি because Meghdut is
তোকে
going to go
already-
and learn how to make mishti from ChatGPT.
তোকে আর কথা বলতে দেওয়াটাই উচিত নয়।
But
আমরা
মিষ্টির দোকান is
বলেই
happening.
চলেছে, আমি বলছি এপিসোড বন্ধ করছি, এখনো বকে চলেছে। হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে ফাইন, মিষ্টির দোকান ইজ হ্যাপেনিং। আর আমি তোকে একটা কন্ট্রাক্ট দেবো, সেখানে তুই কলকাতার এইসব বড় বড় মিষ্টির দোকানগুলোকে
বলবি একটা মিষ্টি আমাকে দাও।
একটা মিষ্টি দেবে আর তার বদলে তুই তাদেরকে রেলেভেন্ট করে দিবি আর খুব সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া
But
ভালো
they're
রানিং
all
করবি।
relevant
They're all
for
super
me.
relevant. কলকাতা শহরে মিষ্টির দোকানের ওপরে
It's
কোনো
like a-
ব্যবসাই নেই।
Honestly
It's
নেই।
the greatest business to be in.
So good.
Forever relevant.
But I want people to know about it. Honestly, like I think mishti is
মিষ্টি মিষ্টি মিষ্টি।
okay. Now we actually have to cut because you've started singing. It means you're sleepy.
It means that
Yeah.
this is the third
You've tuned
episode
out.
that we have.
I know when you sing,
আমি আর
you've
পারছি
tuned
না,
out, হ্যাঁ।
আর পারছি না আমি
চলো,
সোহিনীর কথা
bye.
শুনতে। Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. সোহিনীর এইসব র্যান্ডম কথাবার্তা যদি ভালো লেগে থাকে আর যদি তোমাদের কোনো রেস্টুরেন্ট থাকে, সোহিনী কিন্তু সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াটা খুব ভালো বোঝে, প্লিজ রিচ আউট টু স্মোক অ্যান্ড লাইম এবং ওকে তুমি যদি মিষ্টি খাওয়াও তাহলে ও তোমার জন্য সুন্দর মজার ভিডিও বানিয়ে দেবে, প্রচুর লোকজন দেখবে সেই ভিডিওগুলো এবং তাহলে আমরা সবাই একত্রিতভাবে রেলিভেন্ট হতে পারবো। আমরা সবাই
Mainly you.
relevant
Relevant.
আমি তো career relevant এখন।
Anyone who I'm saying যে আমি মেঘদূতের কে চিনি, they're like,
কি বলছে এটা, কি what does it
how?
mean? How? Why?
I'm like, I don't know how.
Anyway, এইখানেই আমরা আজকে থামাচ্ছি। তোমার মিষ্টির দোকান,
I'll
future
go
মিষ্টির
and
দোকান
chat GPT a recipe for সন্দেশ now.
দেখিস, তার করে আমাকে বলিস কিরকম
I will.
হলো। তো
I'll let you know.
চলো
bye.
আপনারাও ChatGPT তে রান্না শিখুন, আর যদি না পারেন তাহলে সোহিনীকে লিখুন, বাকিটা পরে দেখা যাবে on the next episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. See you.